I kind of dig it. I kind of like it. Sorrel is going to be a book called not cough. It's not called cough. Hello everyone. Hi, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about some books that are coming out in 2026, some anticipated books that are coming out in 2026. And so, yeah. So let's go ahead and get started. But first of all, let me talk about a little bit about my personal taste, because obviously it's going to be books that I anticipate. So most of these books are going to be literally horror and like fantasy / romantasy. I'm going to be switching back and forth between horror and fantasy. So we're going to be going back and forth in between those two genres, just letting you know. All adult books. There's no YA in here, so you guys can know what you're going to get in this video. So if you guys like adult horror and adult romantasy and fantasy, then please stay tuned for the most anticipated books, at least for me, for 2026. So let's start with number one. So the first book that I really want to read in 2026, this one comes out on January 27th, and that is going to be The Swamps by Serafina Nova Glass. And in this one, we are following two characters. We are following Macy and we are following Ethan. And they are paranormal investigators that basically make a living making paranormal investigation videos on YouTube. And they decide to go to the Louisiana Bayou, the swamps, where they are investigating this disappearance of this specific woman, I believe. And then along with them, they bring two characters. They bring Tasha and Max to help them out. But then they realize a little too late that they were not just asked to go visit this location, but they were lured into it. They basically fall right into the captor's hands. So this book looks so good. First of all, it has the Louisiana Bayou, and I love anything Louisiana, New Orleans, all of that. So I'm very obsessed with it. I really like the cover for this one specifically as well. And the fact that it is about YouTube paranormal investigators, which is something that I do, I thought was a really cool twist. And so I really want to read this one. And again, this one comes out January 27th, 2026. Now, the next book that we're going to talk about is called Crown of War and Shadow. It is going to be the first book in a series by J.R. Ward. And this one says that it's an adult fantasy romance. And this one is going to come out on February 17th, 2026. And this is about this mortal world in which demons are starting to slip and fall into this mortal world, and we are following a main character who is a orphan, and her name is Sorrel or Sorrel. Sorrel. And basically she is one of the chosen, but she considers herself one of the cursed, I guess. And she is no hero. She doesn't want to be a hero, and she ends up making this deal with this brooding guy named Mark, and there is a romance that ensues between these two. Now, the tropes that I see here, it says forced proximity, only one bed, chosen mates, dark mercenary, who did this to you, touch her and die, I'll die for you, and hidden magic. Jennifer L. Armentrout also blurbed it, and it says absolutely unputdownable. It's been a while since I've had a fantasy romance that I considered unputdownable, so I'm hoping that hopefully, I get that feeling with this book. Now, the next book that we're going to talk about, back to horror, is going to be a book called not cough. It's not called cough. It's going to be called Nowhere Burning by Catriona Ward. This is another one where the cover is very like vintage looking, and I kind of dig it. I kind of like it. This one comes out February 24th. And this one is set in the unforgiving maw of the Rocky Mountains. Nowhere Burning is the latest harrowing novel by Catriona Ward. It says that it's perfect for fans of Riley Sager and Yellow Jackets. I really wanted to watch the show Yellow Jackets, but I heard that a dog dies in it in a very brutal way, and that is my only trigger. So unfortunately, I cannot watch it because of that. Anyways, getting sidetracked. Nowhere Burning. Catriona Ward has written quite a few horror books that are both beloved and very not liked. But so we'll see where this one falls into the spectrum. So far it has a 4.01 on Goodreads with 118 ratings. So some people are enjoying it. And it says that this is a refuge for lost children, but this may also be their prison. So basically in the middle of the night, a girl named Riley pulls out her younger brother, Oliver, out of bed, and the two run away from home. So Riley is very intent on joining this group of teenagers that are squatting in this abandoned ruins of a very infamous movie star's ranch. And the ranch is called Nowhere, hence Nowhere Burning. So for the actor whose name is Leif Willingham, Nowhere, his ranch has been a place to hide from the fame and basically hide his crimes until a fire took place in his ranch, and then he was exposed as a murderer / unaliver. And so now they say that this home that was abandoned is now the feral home for a whole bunch of orphans, and it is basically in the Rocky Mountains. So our main character, Riley, decides to take her brother, and she wants to go to this place. And once they do get there, they realize that the grass may not always be greener on the other side, because this place might be downright diabolical. So that one seems really fun. It seems like very cult midsummery vibes. I act as if I've seen Midsummer. Can you believe I have not? But it gives me very cult vibes. So it seems very interesting. I'm very fascinated by the cult stuff. And then switching back to fantasy romance, or this one I believe is just gothic fantasy romance. And this one's by Ava Reed, and it is called Innamorata, aka House of Teeth, #1. And this one is going to be coming out on March 17th. And this is going to be a visionary and gothic fantasy duology. And this one, it basically talks about once there used to be this island where the dead walked the earth, and there was these families of power that would perform necromancy. Now, eventually, like, this guy kind of came and started unaliving everybody there and kind of took the magic from this place. But there is still one house that is left called the House of Teeth, like the name of the series. And the heiress there is considered very beautiful, and so is her cousin. And so now we are following Agnes, who has not spoken a word in 7 years. And basically she's the one that has the true power to this House of Teeth. And she has to be married to the Conqueror's son, I believe. And they have to form an alliance. And the reason why they want to marry Agnes off to this Conqueror's son is so that she can gain access to this forbidden library, so that she could basically avenge her family, right? And avenge everybody that was on the island. However, she realizes that this guy might not be so bad, and she has to stop herself from falling in love. So very typical fantasy romance, but I've always wanted to read something by Ava Reed that is for adults, and I am hoping that this is the one that I enjoy. Switching back to horror, and technically this is kind of a bit of both worlds, because this is a fantasy horror, and this is called Wolfworm by T. Kingfisher. This one comes out on March 24th, 2026, so my anniversary, which is awesome. So it says, something darker than the devil stalks the North Carolina woods in Wolfworm, a new gothic masterpiece from New York Times bestselling author T. Kingfisher. This one is also, I feel like T. Kingfisher writes a lot of books that are not too big, but still not so big lengthwise, but still very big in its impact. And this book is only about 288 pages, so I feel like this is going to be a very small yet very impactful story by T. Kingfisher. I still have yet to read anything by this author, but I do have like 5 books by them, so I'm going to do is this author worth the read video, and I might include this one. So, and this one is basically the year 1899, and we are following Sonia Wilson, and she is a scientific illustrator that doesn't have work. And so this doctor offers her this position in illustrating his very huge collection of insects. Now, Sonia obviously jumps at the chance to move to North Carolina in this really big, beautiful manner and basically put her talents and her skills to good use. But then she starts to realize that there might be some darker things in the North Carolina woods. And then plus something is very off about Dr. Halder, because first of all, we don't know what happened to his wife. And so she starts to wonder what happened to his wife. Why are their animals acting so strangely? And what is behind the peculiar whispers about blood thieves. So she basically gets the help of the housekeeper and the local healer in order to try and discover exactly what happened with Halder, his background, if there's anything in his background. And then they realize that Halder does have this sort of something that took him down a dark road full of parasitic, and it says full of parasitic maggots that burrow into human flesh, and that his monstrous experiments may grow to encompass his newest illustrator as well. So it seems pretty intense. The blurb for it by the Washington Post says, Kingfisher is not afraid to twist the knife. And I love that little blurb. It's just such a simple little blurb that just seems so impactful. Now, the next book that we're going to talk about is by S.A. Barnes. And if you guys know S.A. Barnes is usually a horror author, and she writes a lot of sci-fi cosmic horror. Now, this book specifically, though, this is going to be, I believe it's her first. It seems like she only writes horror, if I'm not mistaken. She's known for books like Dead Silence, Ghost Station, Cold Eternity. So it seems like all she writes is horror, and this is going to be her very first fantasy romance. And this one is going to be called Death's Daughter, and it comes out on May 5th. And it says that this one is perfect for fans of Ninth House, Nightshade, and Neon Gods. So this is a dark, spicy, and deliciously autumnal contemporary romantic fantasy that takes place in a dark academia setting, in which the only daughter of Death is named his successor, making her a both powerful ally and a massive target, all while she tries to make it through her final year at college, because it's time to join her family business. So it's very interesting. It seems like such a good concept. So it's basically the daughter of the Grim Reaper, and people find out that she's the daughter of the Grim Reaper, and she has to take over her father's position, and she's still trying to navigate going throughout her last year of college. So that sounds very interesting to me. And then, we follow a sexy stranger, the descendant of Lust, shows up on campus because Death just named Joe as his successor. So we have Lust and Death's daughter. Wow, that seems really good. That seems really good. So I'm very excited for that one. What a very interesting and unique concept, and what a way to take pieces of horror, which is like the Grim Reaper and all that, and insert it into a fantasy and take that and put it into a fantasy romance. It seems really interesting. I'm gonna have to check that one out. The next book, one that is very, very, probably the most anticipated read for me thus far, is going to be The Caretaker by Marcus Klewer. And this one comes out April 21st, 2026. Why? You may ask, why? Why? Do I know what it's about? No, we're going to read the synopsis together. But I saw this book and I'm like, yes, that's automatically going on my to-read shelf, because Marcus Klewer is the author of We Used to Live Here, which is literally my favorite horror book of all time. I really love that book so much. So I just saw the name and I'm like, I'm adding this to my TBR. Anything that he makes is going to be an automatic buy. Hopefully this sticks to, I'm obsessed with this one as much as I was obsessed with We Used to Live Here. And it also has a very similar, very weird-ish sort of geometric shaped, like it has like the weird pattern, kind of like We Used to Live Here, but We Used to Live Here had these like almost like curtains-y things, and this one has like a spiral. So let's read the synopsis together. It says, follow the rights. Nothing less than the survival of humanity is at stake. So this one is a supernatural horror about a young woman who accepts a caretaking job from Craigslist. Always a bad choice, right? And only to discover that her position has consequences far greater and more dangerous than she could have ever imagined. So Macy Mullins, she can't say no to this job posting that she finds on Craigslist. And she felt like it was calling to her. So she ends up going to get this position. It's only 3 days work, 3 days cooped up in a stranger's house surrounded by Oregon coast wilderness. And what starts as a very peculiar side gig soon becomes a waking nightmare. an incomprehensible evil may dwell on this property, and Macy Mullins might just be the only thing that stands between it and the rest of humanity. And it says, follow the rights, follow the rights, follow the rights. And it just kind of repeats that. It just sounds so good. I'm so excited. I am expecting a huge, twisty, interesting, creepy read, and I feel like that's what we're gonna get. So the next book that I want to talk about is this one. Is this one considered? I think, yeah, this one's considered kind of a fantasy slash horror, and it just seems so good. Like, I just literally just read New Orleans and then Witch, and then I was like, yes, I'm just adding this to my TBR because it looks so good. And it is called Witch Queen Rising by Savannah Stevens. First of all, this cover is absolutely stunning, and just that alone, I'm like, yes, I need this. And this one is about a reclusive witch who fled the burden of her bloodline, and she rises among them in this lush and haunting fantasy debut. This one takes place in New Orleans. So for New Orleans Witchkin, there is no greater honor than to become the prime, chosen to rule. But the title is meant to be passed down between two rival houses of magic, not the wayward daughter of the former prime who died under mysterious circumstances. So as a girl, our main character is Seraphine. That is so funny because that's my new D&D character's name. Beru was dubbed the Tick Witch for her ability to feed on magic and make it her own. Even among those who alter fate and manipulate reality, she was a powerful outcast, feared and misunderstood by her people. Now, dragged back to continue the legacy that nearly destroyed her, Fiend has her work cut out for her. She must earn the respect of the people, navigate the politics of the paranormal communities residing in her city, and heal a broken heart, all while battling a parasitic curse poisoning the Witchkin. Between her werewolf ex, powerful hungry vampires, and the skeletons of her family's closet, Fiend must learn to make peace with her past in order to save her and all of the Witchkin's future. So this one seems so good. I'm so excited. It just looks so good. Like witches, New Orleans, like that's all I need to know. So the last book that we're talking about is going to be a new book by Monica Kim, who wrote The Eyes Are the Best Part, which was a book that I really enjoyed last year. And she's writing a new book called Molka. And this one comes out April 28th, 2026. And this, okay, first of all, the cover is absolutely stunning. And the synopsis is very unique. And like, it just seems so good. So it says Molka, an abbreviation of Mulray camera, or a sneaky camera hidden to capture covert images and videos of voyagers. So in an unassuming Seoul workplace, IT technician Jun Young's network reaches throughout the entire building. So he basically sees every entrance, every lobby, every bathroom, everything, right? But he can always pull up his favorite images of all these rooms and remember that he's the one that holds the real power. Until one character named Day, I think it's Day, Dahye. Dahye? She's different than the rest. So Day, ever the romantic, yearns to be cherished after years of living in the shadow of her perfect older sister, who tragically drowned years ago. Only her boyfriend seems to appreciate Day. He's rich, handsome, and generous, and she'd do anything to hold on to the happiness that he brings her. But when a hidden camera scandal rocks the city's elite, Day's dreams of a fairy tale romance twist into a very grotesque nightmare. Her boyfriend abandons her, her parents reject her, her grip on reality begins to shatter as visions of her dead sister suddenly appear. And as Jun Yoon's interest in Day turns into an obsession, the truths of their troubled lives are revealed, and Day must go to the extreme lengths to bring them to light. This one just sounds so good. I love the cover. It just seems so interesting. And just like The Eyes Were the Best Part was such a good story, I feel like this is also going to be very entertaining and amazing as well. So that's it. Those are all the anticipated books that are coming out in 2026 that I'm anticipating. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell to be notified when I post. I post twice a week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and then make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok and all those things down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.